Good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice program here on Newstalk 1330, FM 106.3, and streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. I'm your host this morning, Colin Worthington. Want to remind you that early voting is going on right now in Carroll County and all across the state for the general primary and the presidential primary. The election day is set for June the 9th now. Early voting will last until, May the 30th. That's a Friday. Saturday voting for early voting will be May 30th. Early voting is going to last until June the 5th, Monday through Friday. And then there's special Saturday voting on May the 30th. That'll be from 9 o'clock until 4 o'clock, and you can do that at the elections office here in Carrollton, 423 College Street. Now, for those of you voting in Villa Rica, June the 1st through the 5th, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock until 5 o'clock. You'll be able to cast early ballots in Villa Rica at Powell Park. That's located at 424 Leslie Drive. And I give you that information because that will be associated with our guest this morning, the race that she is taking part in. Bernice Brooks is challenging the incumbent Rob Cleveland on the Carroll County Board of Education to represent District 1. Bernice Brooks, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I appreciate you talking to us on the phone this morning, accommodating us over the phone as we still try to keep social distancing for at least a little bit, and all the other candidates have accommodated us in doing this over the phone this morning. So thank you very much, and it's good talking to you, as always. Now tell us who Bernice Brooks is. Let me ask you this first. I mean, an outgoing lady, and it must be pretty hard over the last 2 months to kind of be cooped up a little more than what you're used to.
Well, no, I haven't been cooped up that much. I was called to volunteer at Glanton Heisman School to assist with the meals. Mm-hmm. The Glanton Heisman is the site for the Villa Rica cluster, and we fed children breakfast and lunch. The first week, the bus drivers went to the various districts and dropped off the meals because they knew. And then the next week, the school system asked the parents to come by the school to pick them up. And as a volunteer, after the lunchroom ladies prepare the meals, the volunteers come out and wait for the cars to drive up, and we put the meals in the car, according to the number of lunches requested by the parents.
Time
so I haven't been sheltered in that much.
Not as much, yeah. Time is 8:33. I'm going to give you 27 minutes now to give us your resume, Doctor.
All right. I am a retired educator of 36 years with Carroll County Schools. I started as the first African-American Title I clerk hired by the feds. I then pursued a degree from the University of West Georgia, became a classroom teacher, pursued the professor of administration, became the principal as recommended by Dr. Edmondson, who passed away last week, and approved by the Board of Education in 1983. I then retired from Carroll County Schools June of 2000. Will be 20 years, June 30th.
Yeah.
I am an active person in my community. I have developed an after-school program under the Carroll County Outreach Ministry, where I am the director. And so I'm just visible. I'm accessible. I'm a volunteer for the food bank. We provide food for families 52 weeks out of the year, with the exception of holiday time. And, of course, I'm active in my church, Sunday school teacher, president of the mission. I sit on a number of boards, the Carroll County Family Connection, the KQ Services Board, the Thomas A. Dorsey Board, you name it. I've been trying to do it.
And you were a board member previously with the Carroll County School Board. Unsuccessful campaign. Yeah, unsuccessful campaign most recently. Why do you want to come back?
Well, I'm interested in basic practices for young children. I developed an after-school program, and I find that most of these children are having difficulties because they just don't have basic skills under their belt. Let me give you an example. Children are not being told phonetically how to pronounce words. They can basically say sight words, but they don't comprehend. And one of the things that's really important is if you read a narrative, you've got to understand what you read. And I'm not knocking technology. It's a good tool for any of us to have. But you've got to have some other skills to go with that. So if these young people will get a good foundation, that is basically best practices with reading, writing, and math, they can do a number of things with technology that we never had the opportunity to do.
Have you been able to talk with parents or students about their experiences with the at-home learning over the last couple of months?
In fact, my daughter would probably shoot me for this, but what I'm finding is a large number of parents don't have access to the internet. They may have some kind of laptop or Chromebook, but internet has been the key to being successful while we are under this shelter-in situation. Mm-hmm. And this is what I hope will happen. I'm hoping that the system, that's Carroll County, has sat down and will come up with a comprehensive, precise virtual plan that is clear and user-friendly for parents, teachers, and students as well. And when I say my daughter, she had to get on there and figure out some programs that were not presented by the staff to help her child get through these days. And many parents who have not gone to college, who have perhaps a high school diploma, will not be able to do all of, find all of these programs that will help them and their children. And you have to realize many times the parent is the first teacher, but we've got parents now who after 6 weeks of childbirth, they are back at work. So the school seems to be that stabilizing force for all of these students. We've taken on more roles than we really can handle. And what is frightening to me at this point is, how will we be able to separate these young children 6 feet apart?
Dr. Bernice Brooks, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. She is challenging the incumbent for the Carroll County Board of Education District 1 seat. Before we do go to our break, when I think about Villa Rica in the Carroll County school system, I do think there's 2 representatives. I guess have a portion of the Villa Rica area. What is the District 1? What are the boundaries for District 1?
District 1 boundaries start at the power line on 61 North and goes all the way up 61 to 101. Then it veers out near LaBelle Road, Cowan Road, and all the way to Paulding County. And to the east, it's Douglas County.
You'd mentioned, you talked about the challenges of doing the homeschooling. Maybe a lot of kids may not have access. I don't want to say a lot, but kids don't have access to the internet or even computers. Before this was, brought to our attention, what were some of the other challenges that you see out of District 1?
Well, one of the things is that many of our young people who were able to do some things, they look towards athletics more than academics. And granted, I love athletics. I was a 32-pointer basketball and all of that. But you got to get a foundation before you can really pursue a lot of things. And, one of the things that happened when I served on the board before was we had a high number of high school dropouts. And we thank Southwire for their open-mindedness when coming to 12 for Life. I happened to be sitting on the board when we came together with a comprehensive plan and started working with Southwire so that these young people could learn a skill. Right now, we have the College and Career Academy in North Villarica. It has been a tremendous help. And not only that, we see that we need some diversity. We want our children to see teachers, administrators, bus drivers, lunchroom workers, the whole 9 yards of staff people that look like them. We have neglected the minority group in some ways. And I would like to work with our superintendent to see that our group of children and staff members are somewhat in line. I'm not talking about a 50-50. I'm talking about at least have some people in these staff roles that will provide our children an avenue to say, I can do that. You know, our children need to see some things. And I am one to get out there. I want to be visible. I want to be acceptable and accessible. I want people to know that I understand a lot of the experiences because I've been there.
Is it difficult to keep educators within one school district, within, I think about, District 1. Is it difficult to keep teachers there? And then as in an entire school district, do you see, is it difficult for Carroll County to keep teachers around?
It is very difficult, and it's because of the paperwork. Our teachers are really having to teach to the test, and that shouldn't be. The milestone is one of the tests that most of our students have to pass, particularly in 3rd, 5th, and 8th grade in order to progress forward. And if they would just cut back some on the testing and allow our teachers to do some real teaching, they would love it. The majority of our students who attend college are now not getting educational degrees. And so in the future, we are really going to see a shortage. And right now with the budget cuts, and I'm hearing from the television that the governor wants each department to cut 14%, the number one thing that happens in Georgia, and I have experienced it over the years, when cuts come, they come in the educational area where we cut teachers and then put a large number of students in the classroom. The ratio student-teacher should be no more than 20. And of course, I understand money and that kind of thing, but the one thing we need to do if we want to be premier and at the top of the educational list is stop cutting the budget for teachers. I understand athletics, and I know those particular areas bring in a lot of money for the school to operate, but there are some other ways that we can get money to fund our schools, and I don't think it should be tax-paying money. The taxpayers are taxed enough. So I'm saying in the future, we are going to have a dire shortage of teachers because they are going into other fields, and they are saying that they don't have time for their families because of the paperwork and a number of other things.
Dr. Bernice Brooks, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, Newstalk 1330 FM 106.3. She's a candidate for the District 1 representative on the Carroll County Board of Education. We're going to take our first break at 8:45. Come back and talk more with Dr. Brooks after this.
As we journey through this global pandemic together, Oak Mountain Academy is lifting everyone in prayer and holding the community in our hearts. We continue to pray for all of the families directly impacted and the first responders and medical personnel on the front lines. There are so many individuals working around the clock to keep us safe and healthy. I'm Patrick Uran, headmaster, asking you to join all of us on the mountain in prayer and gratitude for everyone in our community. For more information about the Academy, visit us at oakmountain.us.
For more than 70 years, you have turned to Tanner Health System for your healthcare needs. As our community moves forward, Tanner is here for you. Strong, safe, and close to home. Routine medical appointments, urgent elective surgeries, and imaging are back on the calendar at our hospitals and Tanner Medical Group practices. With the safety of our patients, staff, and community always our top priority. Learn more at tanner.org. Hashtag We Are Tanner Strong. That's tanner.org. Hashtag We Are Tanner Strong.
846 Community Voice, brought to you by Tanner Health System, Oak Mountain Academy, Newstalk 1330, FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. I'm Colin Worthington. Our guest this morning, Dr. Bernice Brooks, candidate for District 1 on the Carroll County Board of Education. Dr. Brooks, what do you think is expected of you as a board member, and does that always coincide with the actual job the way you see it?
I think so. One of the things that I have been told is visibility is one of the keys. Now, I frequent schools, but I'm not there to oversee. That's the superintendent's job. My job is to ensure that we are fairly treated when it comes to money. Equity is one of those things that I feel that has not been the key to solving problems in the Billerica cluster. We have more students, but in many instances, we are not funded in an equitable way.
Why is that?
I have absolutely no idea that I want to express, but as a former administrator, it was always like that. The north end of the county is growing, and I think the funding should reflect the growth. Temple is growing, but of course it appears that in order to work cooperatively with your board members, you have to give and take. And I sometimes feel that because there is more power on the south end of the county, the north end does not get the finance or the respect that is due. I can remember when I first ran, the line for my district stopped at the West Georgia Cemetery. It moved up because of the growth. It moved again. And finally, it became next to my house. That lets you know that the population in the Billerica schools are growing. And, of course, the tax base should be growing. And, of course, I understand that there are over 1,600 students currently at Billerica. But what has happened to kind of reduce that during the day, there is the College and Career Academy. Some choose to do the 12 for Life, where the place for them to attend is on Old Bremen Road. But, of course, we have to work together. There is a coalition of board members that need to understand that if the growth is in the Billerica, that's where we need to place the majority of the funding. Or there is no other way that you can do it if you don't do it that way that appears to be equitable. So I'm saying that for me, I see my role as a person who's trying to keep value in public education by being visible, by being accessible, by leading and learning and understanding. And I also want to be a voice for those who don't feel that they have a voice.
Time right now is 8:50. I'm going to take our final break right here. Come back and have about 8.5 minutes with Dr. Bernice Brooks, candidate for the Carroll County School Board. Our sponsors today, Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy. Newstalk 1330 FM 106.3's Community Voice.
For more than 70 years, you have turned to Tanner Health System for your healthcare needs. As our community moves forward, Tanner is here for you. Strong, safe, and close to home. Routine medical appointments, urgent elective surgeries, and imaging are back on the calendar at our hospitals and Tanner Medical Group practices. With the safety of our patients, staff, and community always our top priority. Learn more at tanner.org. Hashtag We Are Tanner Strong. That's tanner.org. Hashtag We Are Tanner Strong.
As we journey through this global pandemic together, Oak Mountain Academy is lifting everyone in prayer and holding the community in our hearts. We continue to pray for all of the families directly impacted and the first responders and medical personnel on the front lines. There are so many individuals working around the clock to keep us safe and healthy. I'm Patrick Uran, headmaster, asking you to join all of us on the mountain in prayer and gratitude for everyone in our community. For more information about the Academy, visit us at oakmountain.us.
8:52, Community Voice Program, Newstalk 1330, FM 106.3. I'm your host, Colin Worthington, wrapping up our program with Dr. Bernice Brooks, candidate for the Carroll County School Board. Doc, give me 2 or 3 things that Carroll County school students and parents and educators should be really proud about this district. What maybe something unique?
Well, the 12 for Life is unique. The splitting the college and career academies, having one in the north, one in the south, so that the student don't be on the bus. Travel time is cut tremendously. I'm proud of the fact that we have ELOST, that's the SPLOST part. That is the financial lifeline to our facilities because of SPLOST. And I would like for everyone to hear me. When you vote for SPLOST, you vote for facilities that are aesthetic so that they look good on the inside as well as the outside. We have appropriate capital projects that reflect what we want to see and use when we go about. I'm just proud of the fact that we have gotten our facilities where we're not ashamed of them when we have visitors. But I do want to say that we need to work on the fronts of our buildings. The frontage to me seems pretty much elementary. We need to make our fronts look as if there are students in there that we care about and want to provide them with learning that's conducive. I'm just proud of what has been accomplished and look forward to more and better accomplishing things, because in this world of technology, we can do a tremendous job in helping our students move from point A to point B without difficulties. I do want to say in maybe not closing that I have developed an after-school tutoring program where I am trying to bridge the gap between those students who may need remediation after school so that when they return to school, they can be those students that can just move through the curriculum with our classroom teachers. And in fact, I speak to the teacher of those students I work with pretty regularly. And so I know where they are and I know where the teacher wants them to be. So I would like to say that we need to provide best practices for our children.
Time is 8:55. Going to have about 4 minutes left in the program. Maybe I can get 2 more questions here. But should the Carroll County Board of Education have the opportunity to select the new superintendent in the next 4 years? There's a good chance. What are questions that you would ask from a candidate, and what would you hope to learn from their responses?
I was not aware of that.
Well, no, he's not. He hasn't announced he's stepping down, but I'm saying in the next 4 years. Coward's been there for almost 10 years now.
The last time we selected a superintendent, I was one of the ones there. The one thing I would like to see in our superintendent is that he is visible at some point, not one of these who just sits in the office, really knowledgeable about what's happening in all of the schools. I know that's a task that is monumental, but if you're going to be over a setting, you can't operate from the office at all times. And I know it's time-consuming, it's wear and tear, but when you take the job, you take all the responsibilities that goes along with it. And, of course, we appreciate what the superintendent has done the last years that he's been there. I know him personally. And we are also praying that the next person who comes along will be that person who not only thinks about the staff in the current office, but also the teachers that are out there in the trenches. These teachers did not just pursue a degree to just sit. But I do know we always have that little percentage just want to get by. But that superintendent has to be visible, accessible, one who leads by example and experience, and also understand that the culture of this particular cluster or those clusters may not be as it should be, but work towards a collaboration that is community spoken. I'm sorry to say, this last week I had to introduce the board member to the staff at Glenton Heisman. Dr. Pickney was there, and they never knew that he was a board member until I introduced him. So, as a community, we need to know one another. We need to care about one another. And in my final statement, I will say that you can help me keep value in the public school by voting Bernice Brooks, Dr. Bernice Brooks, Carroll County School Board District 1. And I also want people to know early voting is going on right now. It began yesterday, and the early voting for the Villa Rica District will be June 1st through 5th.
It's like you're reading my closing notes here, Dr. Brooks. Let me wrap up the program here. But, yeah, you gave all that information. It is ongoing right now. Dr. Bernice Brooks, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, candidate for the Carroll County School Board, and I do appreciate you talking with us this morning, Doc.
Okay.
And we appreciate you listening.
Have a great day
you
and
too.
Be safe.
Absolutely.
All right.
And
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this morning's Community Voice program here on Newstalk 1330, FM 106.3. We're going to post this program in its entirety to the Newstalk 1330 WLBB Facebook page later on this morning, perhaps early afternoon. So if you missed any of the program, I encourage you to visit and give that show a listen. Coming up on Friday's Community Voice program, we will revisit the Board of Education race. We'll have incumbent Carroll County Board of Education member Bart Cater, our guest Friday at 8:30, right here on Newstalk 1330, FM 106.3's Community Voice program. Time right now is 8:59. Stay tuned for national news, followed by local news, and then Glenn Beck is on the air.